but I don't know why. Why is compression? That is my question.
Why compression is a really good question, because in contemporary recording and making music, you do not need to use compressors. You could make an absolute banger of a track and never touch a compressor once. We have contemporary tools, we have saturators, we have limiters that do the job of compressors, way more technically efficiently, with way better, loudness results. But I think there are 3 reasons why we use compression still to this day. Compression was first invented for radio so that your signal wouldn't be so loud that it would end up on someone else's channel. Frequency modulation, FM, means that there's like a central frequency, and then as you vary away from that, that is the audio signal. So if you get far enough away from that, that is someone else's central frequency. And so you get fined by the FCC. And so in order to not get fined by the FCC, these radio engineers invented compressors. And so they had a tool where they could play music loud, and they knew that it wouldn't go too far. They knew that they wouldn't get fined. Move forward to recording to tape. Tape has the exact same issue. You don't get fined, but if you get too loud on tape, it distorts, it sounds like shit. You have to do it all over again. And so if you use a compressor, you know that you're getting a nice loud signal, and you know that it's not going too far. And so that became sort of the MO for recording in studios, is you would use compressors as you needed to, but increasingly as you were able to, because you could keep making things louder and louder. As rock and roll became pop music, music just kept getting louder and louder and louder, and compressors are what enabled that. In the same way that people today want to use a Neumann U47 because that's the sound that they're used to hearing from the past, and that's what people used to use, the sound of compression is something that people are used to hearing, and is something that people want because it sounds like the past. If I had to describe what was enjoyable about the compression sound, I would say think about dance music. And if you've ever heard a song where the kick drum is sidechained to the bass and it creates this pumping effect, in all of the ways that can be really pleasurable and really nice to listen to, normal compression in smaller amounts can be similarly nice to listen to. It creates this rhythmic change of volume across time in a way that is pleasing to the ear, even if you're not directly hearing exactly the changes that are being made. So it's because we used to do it and people want how things used to sound, and because it can be used to make things sound nice in a way that people like. The third reason is the reason why I use compression today in the physical world, in a world where I could record signal perfectly fine at a low level. No, I'm not clipping. No, I'm not getting, a high noise floor. The reason why I use compression anyways is because I like to know that when I'm recording a vocal in, I can, again, get a nice loud signal and not be clipping, because that means it's one less step I have to do in the computer. A lot of gear that's a part of like primo vocal chains, like a Neve 1073 and a TubeTech CL1B, you turn them up to a certain level and they start to saturate, and that is that sort of saturated sound is part of what you're going for. And so in order to do that, you end up with a closer to louder signal. And so then using a CL1B to compress it means that then you end up with a signal that is not clipping, but is loud and has that, nice, pleasurable, saturated sound that you're going for. In the box, the reason why I use compressors is because I'm used to it. I could be loading up limiters on all these channels when I want something loud, and get something that is technically sufficient, or I could just make quieter music. The song's not going to be a bad song just because it's quieter. People might not listen to it, but we have like 104 decibels to work with, and we end up making our dynamic range like 6 decibels. So we have a lot we could be working with, and we just choose not to. But yeah, that's why I use compressor. That's the third reason is nice gooey vocals.